This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your host, Brian McMahon. I am the sensei here at Expert Dojo, the fastest growing startup accelerator in Southern California. Now, in the first 2 seasons, we answered your questions about how to find investment for your business. We brought in the most accomplished investors in startup in America. You can find it on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Now, here in season 3, we're flipping the script. We're going to hear real stories from entrepreneurs who are in the trenches today. In these episodes, we're going to take our guests through the storytelling model called the entrepreneur's journey. We'll hear about what sparked their call to entrepreneurship, help they received along the way, forces they overcame, dark times and revelations. So join us every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Start the week a smarter entrepreneur. Okay, I'm back. It's Brian. It's Tuesday morning. It's 10 o'clock. I have got another phenomenal entrepreneur for you who is growing his business in leaps and bounds. Daniel from Fantasizr. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So today we're going to talk about greatness, right? We're going to talk about building greatness, stepping out, starting off your own business, taking it from scratch, how you built it all the way from nothing, just an idea, to becoming where it is right now. And we'll talk a little bit about the investment that you've built along the way. But just take us back to the start. Fantasizr, sure. Why?
Yeah, so I created Fantasizr, which is a fantasy gaming platform that can be used for anything. And it all started because I was a fan of this particular TV show. And a bunch of colleagues and I wanted to play a fantasy league for this TV show. And so we looked at the market and it didn't exist. So we started to do it in spreadsheets. And then that wasn't sufficient, so then we created a platform to do it. And that's really why we created it, because it didn't exist and we wanted to play a game that didn't exist.
So it's just genius. So it's like you look at Game of Thrones and you want to guess who's going to win this week or who's going to lose this week, and somebody gets their head chopped off, and then obviously that's your player is not going to do terribly well.
That's right. So we based it off of an MTV show called The Challenge, where there's an elimination every week. And so you basically pick the people that you think are going to win the challenge week to week. So it fits well into a fantasy sort of system that would be analogous to football or soccer and things like that.
Wow. And then so with the area I love it even more is work. Because most work competitions, I mean, if somebody's got a job and there's 1,000 people in the company, most competitions are boring. Oh, yeah, whoever is the top salesperson is going to win a trip to Malta. Well, fine. Well, only 10% of the people are salespeople, so they're the only people who can get engaged. And people get tired of the same people winning all the time. So I even love the angle that you built in for actually people who've got jobs where everybody can get engaged by building their fantasy team. So as certain people are more productive than other people, the entire team wins. Not only do the entire team win, but the people who have got nothing to do with that person can win by association.
That's right. Yeah, we've gamified the office in the same way. So, for example, we just recently launched with an HR staffing firm. And so they get points for the number of placements that they put. And so we know who the top player is. And I talk to our client and they say, oh, yeah, this person's a rock star. Everybody sees that she's a rock star. And her office ends up winning all these prizes based off of her performance in the game.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So which one do you prefer? And which one do you see growing faster? The Office or the TV shows?
So it's almost like a couple big fish or many, many small fish. Think about how many offices there are in the country or in the world.
Endless.
Yeah. And so, but think about how popular Game of Thrones is as well. So that audience we could try to capitalize as well. So it's tough to say which one is more successful, but really they're it all adds up to a lot of people.
And you took the route of an accelerator back in the day.
That's right.
So you were starting off, you had your partner that you were working with, you launched the company, you had this great idea, you knew that once you built the website, it was just a question of time before you built enough clients, but you made the conscious decision to go to an accelerator. Can you talk a little bit about that investment journey and the value that you got from it, or maybe some of it that you didn't? You can mention them or not mention them, and then what you took as far as money and where that brought you to.
Right. So it just seemed like the natural next step. I'd known about accelerators, so it just seemed like that was the place to go to, because I didn't have a lot of startup experience coming in when I created the product. So we went on a couple platforms where we can apply to multiple accelerators. We filled out the forms, got some qualifying interviews, and after 3 interviews, we accepted the offer for $20K for 6% of the company, which is really the start of the investment for us.
Right. And then what did you get for that?
So to get there, we were given office space, mentorship, and presenting at conferences.
Right. And did that help?
I believe so.
What helped the most? Let's break them down bit by bit. So the mentorship, what did that involve?
The mentorship met with local investors and other business leaders in the community. That was the start there. Some of the processes they helped us with agile development, so how to structure experimentation, trying to create the business idea and experimenting fast with ideas, that came in the accelerator, and additionally the money in the space too, workspace and money to support us.
And you also started pitching, so you got better.
Yeah, so pitching. We had these accelerators all lead up to a demo day. So we pitched on stage to 500 people and online at the time. Yeah, so learning how to pitch and selling that story too.
Wow. And then what became what was the next logical step from them? Because then you finish in the accelerator. You obviously get value. Actually, hang on a sec. Before I go here, I want to stick with just the accelerator model for a second. There's a lot of options, right? There's Techstars, 500 startups, Y Combinator over here in the States. Then you've got the local accelerators, maybe here in Santa Monica, like Amplify, Mucker Labs, and a couple of other ones as well. I mean, obviously, we're a very early stage pre-accelerator, and there are other ones in the market too. I'm a big fan of the idea that you need as much help as you can get, but I'm also a big fan of the fact is you have to choose very carefully. Did you choose based on any particular criteria, or were they the first ones to say yes?
No, we chose because they were tagged as a sporting angle, that they support sports startups, and we consider ourselves a sporting startup, so that's how we ended up finding them. Additionally, I'd say just the community aspect was probably one of the biggest things too. Somebody to work with, because being in a startup, a lot of times seems like a lot of alone time, and so feeling like
you have no friends.
Yeah, so getting within a community, feeling like you're working with other people in a support system also is probably one of the biggest benefits, and also just that general networking as well.
Yeah, so I think every startup should at least look at this, and there are so many accelerators, and many of them are so different. Some of them give $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 with not much mentorship. Some give lots of mentorship with less. Some are more focused, some are not focused. But definitely at the beginning, especially if you haven't done it before, I think it's just a great opportunity to have a look at. Okay, so you build it. You get it ready. You go through the accelerator. You go to the demo day. And then you started doing something really beautiful. You started building up clients.
Yeah, so as we got in the accelerator, we licensed the platform to MTV for 2 of their shows. So that was probably our biggest break. And then after the accelerator,
How did you find that?
So they found us. If you Google, we pretty much own Google for Custom Fantasy League, Create Fantasy League. We're going to be number 1 organically. So their digital marketing team found us. And so a lot of those sort of digital engagement strategies, marketing folks on the network side found us through Google. Really just organic leads.
That is nice, though, when you get that phone call.
Yeah. So, sort of the organic lead, that's been our bread and butter so far. So luckily, we're optimized for those sorts of results.
Okay. And then before we get to coming through the other side, because now you're getting more and more companies on board, which is positioning you better and better for investment going forward. Tough times, hard areas, detractors, people who took away from, but also people who helped you as well. Maybe take us a little bit through that journey too.
Yeah, so because we've relied on Google so much, and my experience is mostly on the development side, and so generating organic business and having a business strategy, to do that on my own was really a challenge, because my inclination is just to create features a lot of time. Like how can I improve the product? How can I do these things? That's just what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so figuring out how to take it to the market on our own proactively and grow the business that way was a challenge over the past year, I'd say.
Yeah, and then you then took most of the company back yourself, right? So you could drive, you could be back in the driving seat, which I think you did really smartly, because you looked at who are the partners and who are the people that I have working with me, and are they adding the value in that I need them to add in? And you didn't have that situation, so you took control immediately and avoided a difficult situation, which was brilliant.
Yeah, I think that as I went through it, I just heard that it was a very common situation that you do run into founder issues and restructuring the company at certain points. So going through it, with the support of the dojo, was just to understand the process helped a lot. And so, yeah, I did take back a lot of the company at that
Well,
time.
you did it beautifully, and there you got total control of the company. You have clients coming on board. You go through because they're challenging times, right? It's never particularly easy. And I think every company, doesn't matter which one we found, whether it's challenges of the fact that it's hard to run these things on our own, whether it's partners that we have, any of them, there's always something that's difficult, right? I suppose if it wasn't difficult, everybody would do it.
Yeah, it was, just the natural difficulties of being a small team and finding the gaps that you have in your expertise is probably the biggest challenge. Like your natural blind spots, I would say.
Yeah.
Because I do like to work on the product more than selling, let's say.
Yeah, and then as you go forward, you notice those, and then you fill them in as you go along. Now, at that stage, had you been aggressively looking for investment, or were you aggressively trying to build a product?
Mostly through the product and direct sales. Just that's what's been the focus.
Yeah, and I really, I love this. It's such a great. So again, I remember when I first came to California, and everybody I would speak to, the first thing that would come out of people's mouths was, hey, we want to raise investment. We need to raise investment. While I kind of love this whole direction that you're going in is all about, I want to build my expertise. I want to fill my skill gaps. I want to make sure that I've got people on the team who can actually help us and get us to where we need to go to. And then I want to get customers in and get them in through the door on day one, and then continually reshift the site as we go through. And you brought in, so after that difficult time, you then started bringing in some really big customers, right?
Yeah, we had a Fortune 500 pharmaceutical company that did a national sales contest with us. We partnered with YouTube Red this summer for one of their shows. So
how did you convince them both? Take me through both of these scenarios. So YouTube Red, monster company. How did you even did they contact you as well?
No, so we reached out to them. So what happened was, it was the show called Escape the Night, which is a YouTuber sort of reality competition show. So one of their fans knew about our platform, and he reached out to us and said, I think that it would be great to run a game for this show called Escape the Night. He was just a fan. He said, do this. And we said, okay, we'll think about it. So we reached out to the production company that produces the show for YouTube Red. So then the production company loved it.
How did you reach out to them?
We Googled them and we reached out to them. We did some internet sleuthing to figure out who they were.
I love internet sleuthing. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, IMDb is a great resource. So we figured out who the production company was. Just went through their contact form. These production companies are pretty small overall, so you can find somebody to respond to your emails.
Yeah.
So then they took it to YouTube Red, to their marketing team. And then YouTube Red was on board just to engage their audience in another way, really.
Beautiful. And then what happened? How'd it go?
So it was great. Yeah, we're looking for Escape the Night Season 4 for next year. So the engagement results were, we call it highly sticky. So 75% of the registered players came back to check their scores week to week. Everybody's talking about who they picked for their team and who won the particular game, and things like that. So it was I thought it was a great success, and they thought so too. So we're gonna go forward for next year.
Beautiful. So you got the biggest online platform for videos in the world that are now a client, and you've got one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world who are a client.
They came to us
totally different, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The platform can be used for anything. That's really what we say, and so we have to shape that vision for them sometimes to figure out, to make it a reality. They have objectives, and then really we're selling how it will work for them and what they can get from it. So for the pharmaceutical company, they came to us through an agency, actually. So an agency had worked for them for a number of marketing strategies, and the agency came to us and they said, can you build a game for our client? So we were like the vendor to the agency, really. And they wanted a way to sort of engage their client. They use us as a tool for them. So we're in that marketing agency's toolbox now.
Right. And then what did they achieve from it?
So they achieved just general competition and engagement. Also, these statistics, their sales statistics, they're just made aware of it. And it's really sort of interesting because what they did was they took all their national offices and did a draft across the country. So actually, if you're in the San Francisco office, you can actually be on a team with people in New York who you may not see every day. And so it's kind of like cross-functional in that way.
It's everybody engaged with the right messaging, strong reinforcement, without I suppose a lot of sales competitions, I don't want to say they hurt people, but they pick on the worst and then the same people win all of the time. Well, this is beautiful because it gets everybody engaged.
It distributes, it distributes it across teams. And you're working in a team who you may not know together. And really that was their objective. And that's what we can help them achieve.
I also think what's really powerful is your message to investors. And again, this is a great lesson for anybody who's raising investment right now. It's like everything that Daniel is talking about is how do I drive revenue, get users, bring on new clients, showcase the fact, and not small ones, but large enterprise clients, so that people are talking about the platform in a way that's really beneficial. Very powerful. So what comes next? You're bringing on these huge clients. You've got as much coming through on the work side, job side, as you have on the entertainment side, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
Which one is one of them going to win, or is it?
Yeah, we're looking for entertainment for next year. Like I said, fewer clients but bigger projects. So we're trying to go again with YouTube Red. We'll go again for next year, and also the final season of Game of Thrones. So when we ran the Game of Thrones game last year with The Verge, that was one of our biggest successes of all time. So we're looking to go again with them. And some other possible shows.
So, because they're the big money, but then the jobs, I imagine, the nice thing about the jobs is you get a couple of thousand companies all doing small little competitions on the platform. That's beautiful SaaS, software as a service revenue, right?
Yeah. So the subscription over time, these HR sort of add-ons are big money. Those sort of HR plugins, they get acquired all the time, and we see those sorts of notices.
And what's really beautiful is now I see the next 12 months where you have the entertainment revenue coming through, company brings in $250,000, $500,000, comes through really nicely with the entertainment revenue. But then you can go to all of the HR conferences and speak there about getting better engagement with their staff, having people stay longer, showcasing entire teams that are working better together. Everything that HR divisions are going to love.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you see any additional strategies with how you're going to drive the actual job side of it?
So on the job side, really just customer acquisition through ads, HR ads, and like you said, presenting at conferences. That'll probably be our biggest thing. Those sort of search terms we get hit up all the time, which is like sales competitions, games for sales teams. These are like hot, expensive terms to own on Google. So those are the ones we're competing in.
Lovely. And what type of investors? So right now you're going to hit investor mode. I'm thinking in 2019.
Yes.
You've proven everything. You're going to be in a strong place. Paint me a picture about how that's going to look, and paint me a picture about like the interaction. Yeah, I know you've been so focused on driving sales that the interaction with investors, you haven't done a huge amount, which I love. But maybe talk a little bit about some of the interaction with investors and your plan for 2019,
right?
And how we're going to raise like $1 million.
Yeah. So it seems like just working with the dojo, finding the right person would be key. So if it's an angel, it doesn't seem like it takes that much money to go to the next stage, just really to build out the team, because we are so small, to build out people who have experience in particular verticals who can sell for us, and launching other technological projects that we want to run.
Because it's all sales right now.
Yeah.
Right? You want to be seen at the conferences. You want to make sure that you're doing strong paid search, and then allocate the money for that. And I think you're right. It's such a I don't want to say difficult, because it's not that it's difficult. It's just that it's not like there's a sign on an angel investor's head that says, I really feel like investing in a Fantasizr company right now that deals with alternative type fantasy leagues. They get emotionally engaged, right? And then they come from a left field. So it's about spreading the message to them all.
Yeah, I think once they understand it, and what we're trying to do, and it becomes clearer, then I think that right person can just be keyed in to what we're trying to do.
I love it. And like, so we're speaking to investors, right? Because we're going to take this podcast and we're going to share it with the investors who are outside. Can you paint them a little bit of a picture of, again, what the next year, maybe 18 months looks like, how you're going to bring on board the companies, how you're going to grow the revenue for Fantasizr, and how that picture then translates into some form of exit for investors in the future?
Yeah, really just getting to the, blowing up the recurring revenue model, taking 500K and hiring a proper sales team to go in all sorts of different verticals. At that point, we would be, attractive for being acquired by, an HR company, like a Workday, like a HubSpot, one of those places where we can be plugged in to one of these systems, like a Salesforce. Once we've blown up the recurring revenue to, 50K a month, we would be, well slated for that kind of acquisition.
I think you make a really fair point. And so whether it's a HubSpot or an Infusionsoft or even a recruitment company that actually have the software built in that they give to their clients to make sure that they get better returns, it's a pretty easy sale for those types of companies. It's just about getting the companies on board first, which is why I love the fact that almost the entire amount of money that you're going to raise is going to be for marketing to actually push that forward.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, what I've learned so far just is that there's so many people who don't know you. Because I think about it so much, right? I think about my own product, think about my own company.
Yeah.
But I end up forgetting that just the world doesn't know about you. That's probably one of my biggest lessons and takeaways. So you have to constantly push that message, and that is marketing.
Yeah.
So that's really what we need to do going forward.
Yeah, and obviously it's challenging because you're focused so much on the actual development side of it that bringing in those people is going to be key.
Yeah, that's another blind spot I was talking about earlier. Just marketing and sales as opposed to product and development. Finding somebody, growing a team who know how to do that properly, it will make all the difference.
Beautiful. So I want to finish up with just a couple of strong points here. Number one, for any non-investors listening, startups who are thinking, how do I grow my business? Just remember, if you have a great product, if you then go to market with that product, if you market validate it by approaching the people who will need it, I don't care how big they are, then you find the truth really quickly. And then you sound like Daniel. So does Daniel sound desperate that he needs investment tomorrow? No. He's going to keep growing it. The company's going to keep growing. The recurring revenue is going to keep on increasing. He's going to keep on bringing on more customers. The only thing that's going to happen is if investment is received sooner rather than later, then the investor is going to get a better valuation. And Daniel's going to be able to drive the revenue quicker than he would do just by dealing with the revenue that's coming in on a daily basis. So please, all startups, this is the way you need to be. Build a great business, drive your revenue really strong, even if that's not the area that you're most comfortable with, and make sure that the investors see that with or without them, you're going to go forward. Now, for those of you who are investors who are listening into this podcast, you now have a company that you can look at here, which is Fantasizr. Can we spell that for them so they can find it?
Yes, Fantasizr.com. There's no E.
Okay, so just take out the E.
We own the word.
Yes, we own that word. It's ours.
Oh yeah, that's somebody said that early on. Is that if you end up misspelling it? Well, obviously everybody knows these things. If you misspell a word, then you can own it on Google.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And every other startup, they didn't come. I didn't invent that, obviously, but
it's also nice because you are what you are now. You've got it. You got the .com. You've got all the other domains. It puts you into a really strong position. So for investors who are listening, you have a company. They found a niche. Come on, it makes sense, right? I love it for entertainment. I think it's fun and it's good and people get engaged and everybody knows that this is a huge market, just the fantasy anything market. But actually for me, for jobs, I think it's vital. I think companies for years, including ours, have been looking for ways to try and see if we can create fun and engagement and stickiness within everybody who's working for that company. And this does exactly that. You have a CEO who's managed to navigate the company through the beginnings when they didn't even have code or anything built to a place where they now have a phenomenal platform with an amazing back end, which requires only a tiny amount of work for every single implementation that they do. And they're growing with customers all the time. And you can also get, obviously, a great valuation because the company are really now kicking into second gear. So for anybody who's looking to contact you, how do they get you?
So it's Dan, D-A-N, at Fantasizr.com.
Just spell it for them again.
Fantasizr.com.
Yep, hit me.
Oh, can I tell you about the game we just built this week?
Yeah.
So we built a fantasy game based off of our president's Twitter feed.
No.
Yeah, so
I didn't know about
this is great. So what you do is you draft words that you think are going to appear in his Twitter feed. So we have words like America, idiot, sad, all the words Democrat, Republican, election, those sorts of stuff. And you get points when they appear.
Obviously great.
Those sorts of things. So at the end of every week, we run a system that calculates what words showed up, and then you get points based off of what words you chose. So if you think you know what he's going to tweet, we have a big contest going for this.
Oh, fantastic!
We think this is the first of its kind. It has to be, right?
There is no think. It is the first of its kind. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. So it's sort of keyed in the engagement. This creates engagement with Trump's Twitter feed for good or for bad.
Wow. Maybe all you have to do now is engage President Trump to be involved, and the winner gets to meet him.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we thought about giving away like the art of the deal to our contest winner or something like that. But it's we're looking for a partner like Politico or one of those companies to help us run these games. But
we joke about this, but it's really important. Like it's for whatever competition anyone is doing. Like I talked about teams and teams within jobs. You talk about entertainment, but actually just in marketing in general. It's the fun marketing campaigns that gets people engaged are the ones that we remember.
Yeah.
And you're now moving this into a space which even goes beyond jobs and beyond entertainment into this middle space of let's just gamify people.
Yeah, somebody pitched it to us as an idea, and so without too much work, we can convert the platform to do this or that. So in the political space, we're gamifying just engagement with Twitter right now. So we'll see what comes out.
I cannot think of any better way to finish the podcast than with our president being gamified.
That's right.
Thanks, Daniel. Any investors, you know how to catch Daniel. It's great company. You got Brian here at Expert Dojo. Hit me up if you've got any other questions. And until then, we're just going to wait to see the brilliance that 2019 brings.
Great. Thank you.
That's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2. But make sure you join us every single week.